What's going on, America? This is Kevin in Kevin's Corner. It's mighty dark out here. I'm scared of the dark, boss. Like the dude on Green Mile, gonna go down to Florida. Get me a circus mouse. Yeah. Anyway, I said that I was done. And I said that, you know what? I'm not gonna make any more videos tonight, but, unless something comes up. And something came up. What came up is I was watching again Ted Cruz, who did a masterful job exposing the Democrats and all of their subconscious and hidden motives concerning opposing the Supreme Court justice. And I just want to reiterate what Cruz said. But before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Extreme Teas. I'm proud that they have chosen me to represent their products and services. And there's links in the bottom to do so. So check them out. All right, now let's get to it. So Ted Cruz did something that I appreciated. You remember the water boy when he was sitting there with the girl and she wanted to push up on Bobby Boucher and she made a pass at him and he didn't respond. So she decided, I'm gonna show him, something that it'll be hard to walk away from. So she showed him her breasts, and he looked and he said, I appreciate what you're showing me right now. Yeah, that's how I felt today about what Ted Cruz did. I appreciated what he was showing me today. Because what he did is he got into the psychology behind what the Democrats are really trying to do. And see, when you're dealing with people, regardless of who they are, you got to understand, people operate two ways, consciously, subconsciously. Sometimes they know that they're operating on their subconscious level. So what they're saying out loud is consciously contradicting what they're feeling on the inside. Sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they think what they're saying is true, but really deep down inside, there's a subconscious motive that's driving it. And what the Democrats were doing concerning getting out there on camera, grandstanding, throwing a fit, whining, talking about this is unprecedented. I mean, we don't even have all of the documents. How are we going to make a decision? Something needs to happen. We want to, all of that crap that they did, embarrassing themselves, bringing in protesters that were screaming, which still blows my mind because I'm thinking, do you want us to take you seriously because you decided to go vote no and disrupt the whole program? What that shows us is that y'all don't have a method of communicating peer to peer. That means that your whole party and the people that support you to get their way, instead of saying, let's have an intelligent conversation, they say, let's throw a fit. Let's interrupt things. Let's go ahead and get loud, fall out, and get drug out and say, yeah, we showed them. No, you showed us that you are acting like a complete baby and jerk. You didn't win nobody. You didn't convince anyone. You didn't compel me to say, that's a pretty good argument. Falling out on the floor and screaming no, made me rethink all of my policies. No, but nonetheless, all of that stuff really was nothing more than a front. All of that stuff was a cover-up for their subconscious motive of what's really going on. Now, let me break it down. Subtext, okay? You ever been watching a movie, and throughout the movie, you are watching a character, and you figure out that that character is evil. But the character is portraying somebody who isn't evil. Now, the person that they're talking to in on the show, they don't know that they're dealing with a diabolical evil person. So this person might be trying to convince them of something, but yet you as the viewer have seen everything that led up to that conversation, and you're going, don't listen to them. Now, if you didn't know that character, if you didn't look at the character, if you weren't able to see really what was going on in the heart of that character, and you just saw the conversation, you might think that, hey, this is a nice person and it sounds good. And when that person that they're trying to convince buys into it, if you know that the person who's convincing them is evil, then you say, don't do it, that person's evil. But if you didn't know that, you say, well, I can see why that person might believe that or fall for it or whatever. Well, it's the same thing with the Democrats, because what Ted Cruz did is he went down the list and broke down what this all is about. It's not about whether, they got documents or not, okay? He even explained that, and I'm gonna put the link in the bottom of the video. He broke that down. He said, it's not about, the documents. It wasn't about his credibility, none of that stuff. He broke it down and he said, this is about relitigating the 2016 election. But not even that. He exposed that all the Democrats, along with Hillary Clinton, was very clear and open about what type of Supreme Court justice that they wanted to be on the bench. Not a fundamentalist, not someone who supported and believed in the First and the Second Amendment. They wanted somebody on the bench that would support all of their liberal agendas, their global agenda, and their attack on the Constitution. See, they were trying to stack the deck, and he exposed it. And you know how he did it? He know the voting record of every one of those senators that was out there talking about, excuse me, I want to be recognized. You know, how they all got together with Chuck Schumer, and Chuck told them, hey, listen, you on the horn. Everybody on the horn? Okay. All right, listen up. When they start, soon as the man start talking, I want y'all to go one by one, interrupt them, disrupt them. And then the people that we're going to bring, all the protesters, cue them too, so they can go off and start disrupting it, because we want to make a spectacle and a behind of ourselves, a big fat behind, a big butt, okay? Lucky I don't cuss, because I would have dropped the other word out there. You know, how about this? I'll use a nice kind word like jackass, all right? Yeah, that's all they did. They made a big fat jackass of themselves. The donkey is the perfect animal for the Democrats, all right? That's what they are. So anyway, after they all huddled up and decided to, show that whole spectacle, Ted Cruz begins to break it down. And he started going down the difference between Hillary Clinton and the difference between Donald Trump during the election concerning what type of Supreme Court justice that they would nominate. And she was talking about a liberal Supreme Court justice that would support all of these social issues that they want. Now, here's the tricky part about the Democrats, okay, that they never tell you. They wanted to attack First Amendment, Second Amendment, and freedom of religion. Okay, and Ted Cruz exposed them. He talked about a bill that was put up for them to try to abolish or, undermine freedom of speech. And he said that all of these Senator Democrats out here just grandstanding talking about, this is really about us not having the documents that we're not really even going to read anyway. And we know we can't really get them because, the Supreme Court justice is nominated. He didn't even write those documents. He was just simply transferring them. He wasn't the author. We weren't going to get anything out of the documents. It was under Bush. But we're going to act like this is important stuff to us to try to prolong it and drag it out and run out the clock. Yeah. But so all of that stuff, that wasn't really what the problem was. All right. And he said every single one of those guys is acting like that's a big deal. They all voted for a bill to do away with freedom of speech, because we know that pesky freedom of speech stands in the way of the liberal agenda because of people like me and other people on the internet and people who get up there and say, we don't believe in your political views. They wanted to be able to say, well, since you don't believe in our political views, then this is hate speech and we can pass legislation to silence you, just like they're trying to indirectly do it now through social media. It's just that they can't make it legislation. And then, of course, with them being the deciders of what is hate speech, it's just a relative term. I mean, it's up to you what you feel is hate speech. But they were trying to pass that bill, and they were trying to attack the Second Amendment as well. So it wasn't just the First Amendment, and they were trying to attack freedom of religion. And he talked about how all of those people all voted for these things. But yet, they up here trying to act as if that's not why we're mad and we're opposing this. We're opposing it because we don't feel that we got the proper information to help us make a good decision, because look at all the documents they didn't turn over. So once again, what he did is he exposed the subconscious motive versus the conscious motive that they tried to sell to the American people as if they had a legitimate reason to push back. Now, let me finish it by saying this. Someone was asking me, well, why don't people listen? How can people not hear this? What is it? Even if Democrats was to hear this, they should be concerned. All the voters and so on and so forth, they don't see this? And I said to that person, they don't see it because what the Democrats are masters of is presenting the subconscious motive as a winsome argument to the consciousness. Meaning, they say, let's deal with the emotions. Let's not tell them our real hidden motive. Let's not really expose it. Say we're watching a movie of the Democrats leading up to these arguments. We would see how they what's getting in the way of our agenda? Freedom of speech. What we didn't take account for in 2016 It's all these individual people online sharing information, attacking our narratives, and debunking all of our lies. They're getting in the way of our agenda. We got to do something about this, but we can't tell the American people that we want to attack the freedom of speech. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin it. So consciously, what we're going to say is that it's about looking out for people's feelings and not promoting things that are going to incite violence and hurt people and discriminate against people through your speech. And see, when people are opposed to our agenda, which looks out for people, what they're doing is they're dogma. This is nothing but a dog whistle. This is nothing but people trying to segregate people. It's trying to oppress people. All of that stuff sounds good to the consciousness, not knowing that the subconscious is going, I got to get rid of people who oppose my goals, objectives, and narratives. That's what we got to do. And to do it properly, we can't sell it like, yeah, we want to take over. We want to make sure y'all don't oppose us. We got to say, we're looking out for people. Yeah. So same thing with the guns. We can't simply say, you know what, one day when we who are really the tyranny, we're the real oppressors, we're the real Communist Party, and we're trying to sell it like Donald Trump is a dictator, but we're the real dictators, but there's going to come that day where if you guys aren't listening and you don't like the way we're running things, we want to have the ability to go ahead and invoke martial law, do whatever we want and silence you, lock you up if you say things opposed to us, we're going to go ahead and prosecute you. All of these, we want to be able to do that. And when people rise up and get mad, we don't want you guys having guns to do that. So we have to do something to get rid of the guns, but we can't tell you that. So what we have to do is we have to sell it. We have to sell it like, listen, look how many guns are killing people. Look at all these shootings that take place. That's crazy. We have to do something, okay? Do America really need all of these guns? Let's pass some legislation that just says only in case of a militia. You guys might need to have a militia just in case the government tried to overthrow you, but just on an everyday basis, you can't have a gun. What is that? So if you don't have a gun on an everyday basis, when a militia is needed, where are you going to get it from? Nowhere, right? So they want to set that up, but they can't tell you that. See, that is the subconscious subtext, basically, versus what comes out of their mouth. And that is why Democrats and liberals walking around supporting all this crap don't see it. That's why they go, that sounds pretty good. See, yeah, freedom of religion. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, we know you guys are Christians. We respect all religions. But as a Christian, don't you think it's important that you respect everybody's individual choice to choose what they want to do, regardless of if some of their choices, infringe upon your conscience, okay? You have to be very tolerant, and not being tolerant shows us that really what you're doing is that's kind of like a hate religion. You're kind of promoting, division and all of these things. So let's go ahead and remove your religious beliefs and things that represent your religion. Let's get that out of society, okay? Let's get that out of society. And then also, we don't want you talking about it, if that's okay with you. But not only that, we're going to push you back into your church so that you can't, be public. We don't want to see that stuff in public. But not only that, now we're going to take all of our views and come to the church and tell you have to embrace them and accommodate them. And if you don't, we might even take away, your nonprofit status, your funding, or we might just camp outside of your church, protest, or perhaps even sue your church and have it go to the Supreme Court, where we have stacked the deck with a lot of liberal judges that are going to side on our part, which really is going to break down and destroy your freedom of religion, but really it pertains more so to Anglo-Saxon, they're going to call it Anglo-Saxon Christianity, which there's no such thing as that. But nonetheless, that's what they would try to sell it as, okay? See, I showed you guys the conscious argument, then the subconscious, real motive. They're not out there trying to look out for equality for everybody and freedom of choice and tolerance and stuff. They trying to stack the deck with the Supreme Court justice so that when they want to, dive into their shenanigans, they have a Supreme Court, which is really more important than the president and everybody else. The Supreme Court made people come out and vote for Trump, and it's going to happen again, too. Let these Democrats keep acting a fool leading up to November and see what happens, But nonetheless, the Supreme Court justice is that important, because what that is going to determine is if our Constitution stands as is, or if it becomes a big fat circus that's being controlled by the Democrats, who have a bigger subconscious agenda that they ain't telling the people about. And the people going to sit back and say, wow, what they said sound really good and compelling. I think I'm going to go ahead and support that because I don't want to be deemed as a hater and all of these things. And then later on, what do you mean I can't say that? What do you mean I got to give up my gun? When did we vote for this? You voted for it when you rejected the Supreme Court justice that would have upheld the Constitution. Now, they made me come out in the dark and do a video. That's how serious that was. That's how heavy it was. It was that heavy on my mind. Anyway, God bless you. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Twitter. Check me out Wednesday nights at 7:30. If you want to donate to Kevin's Corner, there's links in the bottom to do so. Hit share, hit like, hit the notification button. Also, check out Extreme Tees. Yes, I'm the proud sponsor of it. Been wearing this shirt all day. You're going to see me in it all the time. I'm going to wash it before I put it back on, but still, you're going to see me in it all the time, so get used to it. Anyway, God bless you. We'll see you next time in Kevin's Corner.